I do not want to see that one.
Aaron Rodgers came in the league, he's a first-round pick. He sits for 3 years. Admittedly, they got Brett Favre, but for 3 years. You guys come in last year, you, Wilson, and Luck, and play right away and do great. Aaron said today he thinks it's almost like you guys are in different generations, even though it's a 7-year gap. Did you see that you guys are so much more prepared, or how do you analyze his experience versus yours?
I think his is different, with Brett Favre there. So, I'm sure if he had to come in and play right away, he'd have played well too. And he's a confident guy, so I'm sure he believes he would as well. But it's just different situations. We were called upon to perform at a high level immediately, and he didn't have to because of who was on his team. So it could be a generational thing, but I just think it was just his unique situation.
Can you imagine sitting now and next year before you finally got to play?
Oh, it'd be tough, but he handled himself well throughout that whole process. And who am I to give you a statement on that? I'm a second-year player. This guy's, won a Super Bowl and done a whole bunch of things. So he's probably a better one to ask that question. Yeah,
Have you talked to them, and then what's the plan this week? Do you know any better what you're allowed and not allowed to do?
Yeah, I heard it was a miscommunication and that I don't have to cover up my knee brace, so we'll just move on accordingly. Other than that, I can't say much.
Robert, what did you take away from the game after watching it? Did you learn anything about yourself, the way you were able to work your way through and get your rhythm back?
Yeah, I think, we learned a lot about our team. Again, every year is a new year. You got to find out the identity of your team, and I don't think we found that identity in that first game, but we did find out about the character of this team, and it's similar to the one from last year. Going to fight, never going to give up, and that's something you can be proud about. As far as just execution-wise, we weren't very solid in execution most of the first, all the first half, and then into the second half we started getting better. So hopefully we can ride that execution into this next game. And I think it started in practice today. Guys came ready with the right mindset, and it's not that we didn't have that last week. You just have a wake-up call sometimes, and you got to push even harder, and that's what we did.
It's been 2 days. It's been 2 days. How do you feel physically? How does the knee feel right now?
Knee feels fine. Typical soreness from getting hit. Philly got me a couple times, and that's just the way it goes. But you just work those kinks out. But as far as the knee goes, it's fine.
You guys faced a lot of 5-man rushes the other day, probably more than in a lot of games last year. What do you anticipate going forward, and do you welcome those, even though you guys didn't do as well yet the other day, do you welcome those situations?
Yeah, it's going to happen. Teams are going to decide to blitz you here and there. We did get blitzed last year. The biggest thing wasn't we weren't getting blitzed on third down very often. In this Philly game, they didn't blitz a ton, but when they did, it was effective. They had some gaping holes to come through and get me. So you just try to go with whatever you see. And if teams are going to blitz you, you're ready for that. If they don't blitz you, you got to be prepared for that too.
Testing you to see how you move back there in that regard, or is it's just part of an overall strategy?
No, I think it was part of their strategy. Blitzes don't really make the quarterback move. Free defensive linemen make the quarterback move. So I was able to escape a couple of those, and that it is what it is. And a couple of those, they got us on that play, and you got to move on.
Rob, differences in the way they played you defensively Monday night versus the way you defended?
I think when you just talk about Philly, they played it a little bit different. New defense, a bunch of new faces, new staff. So they played us differently in that game than they had the 2 previous games last year. But I don't think you can take just one game and say, hey, teams are going to play you like this year. You got to get a couple of games and figure out what teams are trying to do, and every team's going to be different. We're not going to prepare for Green Bay like we prepared for Philly. They're just a different defense. They run different coverages, and maybe Green Bay sees something that worked in the Philly game, and they try to put that in. And, that's why you correct it. That's why you watch game film. So we'll have all that stuff down, and whatever wrinkle they throw at us, you just got to adjust.
Rob, on the couple of sacks on Monday night, did you feel you had a good line of vision to seeing where the pressure was coming from? And if you didn't, did you feel the pressure, or do you think some of that may have been off from just not playing at game speed?
No, I don't think the hits on the blitzes were as far as me not playing and being the first game back. I think they ran some good blitzes. They got us a couple times, and the outlets that I had were covered. So you just got to eat those plays and try to make up for it on the next down. And we did that in the second half pretty effectively. We didn't do that very well in the first half.
Robert, there was an 8-month build-up to week 1, part of it generated by yourself, and a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation. There's only a 1-week build-up to game week 2.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering about the difference there. Might you have been too hyped up for week 1? There was a lot of show in the pregame and so forth. Is it the difference just going into maybe a more routine week 2 for you psychologically?
No, I mean, you guys played that up too. Don't put that on me. So don't put that on me. But it's I mean, everyone was excited about it. And, you know, I talked to my family after the game, and at the end of the day, we lost the game. So you're disappointed about that. But the fact of the matter is, you know, we went through a hard off season this year. Not just me, but this team. And to get out of that game healthy, to move forward to the next week, I think that's a big load off everybody's shoulders. The game didn't turn out the way we wanted it to turn out. You know, you want to get that win. You want to have that first win at home. You want to protect your home field, and we didn't do that. So if anything, it's going to make us even hungrier. Not just me, but the team as well, because the team wanted to win that game, you know, just as much as I did. So yeah, it was disappointing, but it doesn't ruin your season, and you move on to the next week. So in that sense, yes, it's a more routine second week. Last year we won our first game, lost our second. This year we, you know, lost our first game, and hopefully we win our second. We run a different scheme, and scheme is a big part of the game. So you have to work to the strengths of your teammates and the strengths of our offensive line, our receivers, our running backs. And so I'll never try to be like any of those other quarterbacks out there. Do I want a Super Bowl? Oh, yeah, I want a Super Bowl. But as far as trying to measure my game up to his or be like Aaron Rodgers, that's not something that I try to go about every day. We just want to win. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have won a lot of games over the years, so in that sense, yeah, we want to win.
Robert, what are your thoughts on playing at historic Lambeau Field, and what do you expect from that crowd and the challenges that faces?
Oh, I mean, they're going to be hostile. You know, they're really excited about their team. It's their home game, and they want to win. But as far as just the history around the stadium, I mean, I think it'll be a good experience to be there, to play in that venue. It's always an honor. So you respect their home field, you respect the history that's gone on there, and then you try to go get the win. But you know, we'll have fun, hopefully, and go get the win.
Robert, to follow up somewhat on what Joe was talking about, a lot of fans and a lot of people say that Week 1 was sort of like the first preseason game since you didn't get to play. When you hear people say that, how do you feel about that? And did it feel at all like a preseason game, given it was all the hype, but I mean that you got to get out there and play with your guys? No,
I mean, I think everybody said it. You know, a lot of guys were designated 20, 25 plays in the preseason each game, and after those 20, 25 plays, it's like, okay, this is the real deal. You know, we got to play 4 quarters, and for me, it was just I knew we had to be prepared that way. You know, not having any preseason, this is just a game, and I'm going to get hit, and things are going to happen. But I don't look at it that way. You know, all we need right now is the support. And, you know, people who say it was my first preseason game, I'm not going to use that excuse. It's not what I've ever done. You always try to live by a mantra of no excuses. And that's what this team's about. So you won't hear anybody making excuses about the way we played. We didn't play very well. We'll play better. And I won't use that either.
Robert, you've mentioned Rodgers' name a couple times in the past. Is it just his winning and his consistency that you look up to, or is there more to the way he plays that you actually kind of appreciate?
Oh, I mean, I appreciate the way he plays. I appreciate what he's done for the game. You have to look back on the guys that were before you and appreciate what they've done. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the way he plays, the swagger he plays with, how he treats his teammates, all those different things. So you look up to those things. But, you know, when you're playing them, you're on opposite sidelines, you know, there is no looking up to that. You know, you just got to go play.
When did you first realize that he was somebody who has consistently been able to do these types of things? Is that a recent thing since you got in the league, or is that something going back to college and you watched him?
You know, in college, obviously, you know, they win the Super Bowl, but coming into the league, you know, he's just done it over time. And that's what you want to be. And that's what we want to be, you know, our rookie class. We want to be quarterbacks that play well over time, not just for 1 season, 2 seasons, but 5, 6, 7, 15 seasons.
Talked about the steps that you took in your rehab over the course of the spring and the summer. Now that you got a game under your belt and a bunch of hits under your belt, is there another set of steps that you got to take?
No, I mean, we just got to win, period. Offensively, we got to clean everything up, just the way it is, and pass the hit test. We got hit a lot, so, I got hit every kind of way, too. And I think that's another huge relief for everybody, the coaches, players, myself. So other than that, I think we just got to clean up our execution of the offense.
You've been through this twice now. I mean, is it more challenging to get your comfort level back in the pocket or on the run?
I don't know. I mean, in the pocket, you want to just you don't see the rush. You have to eye your keys, and if there's a blitz that's not going to make you hot, then you don't worry about that blitz. You trust your guys and you move on and you try to go through your progressions. And if there's a blitz that makes you hot, you get rid of the ball. So, I mean, I don't think I was uncomfortable at all in the pocket. Like I said, we just got to execute better.
You are under the microscope 24/7. Certainly before a game and during a game, they look at every step you take, how you deliver a football.
Oh, my gosh.
Have you, when you watched the film today, when you watched the film on yourself, what did you think? Were you mechanically sound? Was there more physical or mental if you weren't?
Yeah, I think you can always improve your mechanics. There's going to be times when you're in the pocket and you have to make an off-balance throw. You just got to do that. But I'm not paying attention to any of that stuff. You just, if I make a bad throw and coming off of an injury, it's my mechanics, and I'm not driving off my back leg. But if a healthy quarterback makes a bad throw, it's just a bad throw. So I understand that, and it's just stuff you have to just not look at. You know when your technique's sound, you know how you throw the ball, and you know what you have to do if you make a bad throw. And you fix those things in practice, you fix them in the game, and that's what we're going to do.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, guys.